Coming up on City Spotlight, we're on location and getting caught up on the latest going on in Charleston. The Mayor of Charleston, Dr. Brandon Combs, recaps public works projects at the state and city levels in Charleston, Lincoln Avenue, sidewalks, and the continued work being done at Lake Charleston. Also, Brandon's thoughts on how the pandemic has impacted Charleston over the past 2 years, and what new projects are on the horizon for the City of Charleston. We're nearing the midway point of Season 8, and we're talking all things Charleston next on City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com. And hello and welcome to another edition of City Spotlight. As you can see, we are not in the studios of WEIU for this episode. We are taping for our first time here with the Mayor of Charleston, Dr. Brandon Combs, in the City Hall Council chambers. So great to be on location for this Charleston episode. Brandon, pleasure as always to have you on.
Oh yes, thanks for having me on.
And I'd like to apologize first of all for not having had you on in a couple of years, COVID scheduling, but we're here taping with Brandon here at the very end, mid-December 2021. So great to have you on again, Brandon.
Yeah, it's great to be on.
Thank you very much. Well, we are taping here on December 14th, 2021. 4 days prior to our taping here, obviously Central Illinois and many states in the middle of the country were impacted by the tornadoes that went through. Brandon, I don't think Charleston took a direct hit by any of it, but how is the city doing, and how was the town impacted a little bit?
I mean, there was your typical some major limbs down, crossing streets. There were things like that took place. Some people took a little bit of wind damage to their houses. We actually had signs. If you drove down Lincoln, there were some signs that were damaged and people were getting those fixed. There were some that were impacted by power outages that happened. My brother happens to work for Ameren out of Mattoon, and he got called in and he had said that there were over 20-some poles that got knocked over, so it did affect the northwest side of Charleston some, and they were without power for 8+ hours. So we did feel some of the impact of it, most definitely.
And many communities to the west of Charleston impacted a lot more, the north end of Mattoon, and obviously the communities of Gaze and Windsor, and we won't go too much into that. But Brandon, I just want to kind of check in with your brain, as far as like when a storm like this and the potential for, you don't know how it's going to go. What is your thought process, and are you thinking about the protocols and things that you have in place in case of an emergency happening?
Yes, as soon as things started, we knew it was coming. Right away, instantly, Fire Chief Steve Bennett had messaged me, and him and I and Scott were in constant contact with one another. Everything that he was hearing that was coming through, we had our scanners on and stuff, but at the same time, yes, when something like that's coming, we do have emergency protocols that involves all the way from myself to Scott to the fire department and other first responders. So I mean, it's something that we definitely take serious and we get on top of right away, because you just never know.
Absolutely. For those that have been impacted by it, our hearts go out to you, and thank you for the insight, Brandon. Well, one of the things that we did talk with you and Scott a couple years back was, prior to the pandemic, was Lincoln Avenue had not been worked on yet.
Yes.
And we talked about that was a big deal, because as Scott mentioned, that it's been almost 20 years. I had to think about that for a second. It had been about 20 years since Lincoln Avenue had been worked on. Obviously, also pointed out that's a state project, but nonetheless, a big impact on the community. Your overall thoughts on how it looks, and obviously the street signs and stoplights look much different too.
Oh yeah, it was a big undertaking. they did a phenomenal job. They tried to do as much work as they could at night, not to impact, the daily traffic. But obviously, we were extremely excited to have it done. I mean, I could drive down Lincoln in the morning on the way to my office and be able to drink coffee without hitting a bump and spilling it on me, But it is very nice, and it was in 1999 of that summer. I remember because that's when I'd graduated high school, and I actually worked at a gas station along Lincoln, and I remember how dusty it was. But now that they've got it done, we have the new stoplights in town, and then we have those nice black decorative towers, and then the mast arms, the LED lights. Those turned out a lot better than what I thought. I'd only seen pictures of what they would look like.
Right.
I didn't realize how big they were going to be and how nice they are, and the amount of compliments that I have received, and that I know that Scott has received, and our Public Works department. That was a big undertaking, but at the same time, it turned out beautifully. And then to be able to incorporate Eastern, that was something that we had when we were talking about this in our 5-year planning retreat. It was an idea that was brought up, and we went ahead and made it happen. And I think I know the folks at Eastern really appreciate that. But at the same time, Eastern is as much part of Charleston is Eastern. So to be able to see that. And then obviously we do have the new style turning, and that has created a little bit of issues. But that's the new way of going about it. Other places that have had things redone, that left turning lane, if there's no one coming and that, it's flashing yellow, just caution to turn. But it has thrown some people off. My wife included, but it is one of those things that it's just supposed to help the flow of traffic better and not have so many backups. But overall, the project turned out great. I love the way that it looks, and we still have some plans for some things that we want to do on Lincoln for more beautification of Lincoln Avenue itself.
Well, congrats. It's smooth driving, as you said. It
Yes.
looks great, and I can echo the confusing left turn lane. My oldest just got his driver's license, so driving with him was a little bit weird as far as when do I turn. So,
Yes.
but we're all used to it. Very good. So that's from a state level, but obviously major impact on the city of Charleston because so much traffic happens on there. Something that I've talked with you and Scott in the past about is continued city public works projects. Very noticeable since the last time we talked. Obviously, 6th and 7th Street, you have that part of the road because those are one ways. You have the bike lanes, and obviously continued work on sidewalks. In my own neighborhood of Heritage Woods, I saw the transformation on Woodlawn there. So talk about, again, continued emphasis on the public works in the city of Charleston.
We're continuing to do the sidewalk project. This has been ongoing for several years, and we have, I don't know exactly how many miles of sidewalk that we've replaced or put in, but we're still in the process of adding new sidewalks in places that there aren't sidewalks. And we did, as we've mentioned multiple times, the worst to first. So we went through the whole city and marked it from red as being the worst, then yellow, and then green. And we started with all the red, knocked all that out, working on the yellow. So they're continuing to do that. And, people take, it's just a sidewalk, right? But once it's been redone, it's so much nicer. And now people can get different places where they couldn't before because the sidewalk was bad or there was no sidewalk at all. So sidewalk improvements are going to continue throughout the city, and we are going to see new sidewalks in places that there's never been sidewalks. So they're going to continue to work with that on when we talk about the sidewalk portion of it all.
And the additions of all the bike lanes and everything.
Yes.
because of.
And that was a part of our comprehensive plan. So we had our 10-year comprehensive plan review. I select the committee. We selected the committee, and it was about a 16 or 18-month process. Actually, we had Dr. Jay Guttrell on there. I picked him from Eastern to be on that, so that Eastern had a voice in that as well. So they revamped that, and a part of that is making Charleston like a bike city USA. And with 6th and 7th Street there, it took a little bit of time for people to get used to that. But that lane is there for bikes. But something that I just want to point out is if there's no bikes on it and you need to get over a little bit, you can still cross over and drive in that bike lane, or if you need to make a wide turn, you can still get in that bike lane, but it's just there for bike traffic. And like I said, it goes overall into our city's comprehensive plan, and to be able to get from, like if someone wants to get off in Mattoon, take the now paved trail,
Right.
come over to Charleston, and then go all the way out to the lake, they're able to do that safely, and that was all a part of that plan.
If anybody's driven on 6th and 7th Street in Charleston, those are pretty wide lane,
Yes.
one way. So didn't have to worry about making the road any larger. You just added the bike lane in there and
Yes.
continued on. Very good. Continued public works to talk about, something we talked about all the time with Scott and Brandon. Again, the continued evolution of Lake Charleston. Tell us about the latest additions at Lake Charleston.
Well, they've done so much out there, and now when you walk in or when you drive in there, you can see the lake. We have the beautiful walkway where you can walk right across the water, because I don't believe that was completed the last time that we had met with you.
Right.
And there's more paved areas for people that are wanting to use strollers or in wheelchairs.
There's even new parking right
Yes,
in that
there's
spot.
a lot more. A lot more parking. We got the grass starting to grow now. So I mean, our guys, they have just done such a phenomenal job out there, and the vision that brought all this together, it just amazes me, because I would see it in picture form, and then now to be able to drive out there and see it actually done and completed, it blew my mind away. I mean, how well they did, and our engineering department, everything to plan all that out. It's phenomenal, and we still get compliments on all the time. People coming from other states, and stopping in the city hall and saying, "Hey, this is fantastic. This is phenomenal." Or people that lived in Charleston and they come back and they're like, "Man, we haven't been out the lake in years. Wow, what a great improvement." So, it has been such a great improvement and a big asset to the city. And it's like on Parents Weekend, you go out there and you'll see a lot of kids with their parents walking around and checking out the trails and walking along the levees there. So it's great.
It's got to be quite gratifying for, feels like about a decade almost, all this work at Lake Charleston. Obviously, we had now, can you believe it's been 4 years since the Hometown Governor's Award, the Charleston became a monarch city.
Yes.
All these accolades kind of working together as a result of putting emphasis on all that work that you guys decided to put on Lake Charleston.
Yeah, and it goes. I want to give a big shout out to our Public Works Department. I mean, those gentlemen are extremely talented, and sometimes it's easy to sit back and say, "Oh, well, they're putting in the sidewalk, or they're just laying block here, laying block there." No, those guys are extremely talented. I mean, they work, and that's stuff that we're doing in-house, so our guys are able to do that. But on top of that, the amount of volunteers that we had, and I have to bring someone up in this part when you brought up the monarch city of Charleston being the monarch city, and then with the Urban Butterfly Project. I have to give a big shout out to Dr. Paul Switzer from EIU's biology department. A lot of people don't know how many hours that man put in.
A lot.
He put in a lot, and I had nominated him for a governor's award for volunteerism. He did not receive it, but he was still in the running, and he's on the website. And then I did another nomination for him for the Lewis Clay Mendez Award at Eastern, which is a big award for someone who has volunteered, and they've done a lot for the university, but they also have gotten involved in their community. And Paul ended up receiving that award, which was so deserving on his part. But it's people like him and the groups that he brings out, and then our city planner, Steve Pamprin, all the volunteer time that he puts on outside of his city time, and the groups that he's put together, like with Brendan Lynch, they have just done such a phenomenal job, and it's been a community project as a whole. I mean, it's honestly, it's just such a blessing, and it's just so phenomenal for our city.
Great example of teamwork.
Yes.
Very good. Something else we want to talk about before we just get an overall comment on Charleston businesses is there's, myself included, The work that's being done there, just to the north of Lake Charleston off 18th Street, there's been some construction there over time. What is going on down there on the south end past Sister City Park?
Yes. So we bought that ground, and the front of it is a church, and then behind it the city owns, and we are in the process of developing that into a sports complex. It's going to have multiple variety of sports. We're going to have there's going to be irrigation in there to keep the fields good year round. There's going to be, it's going to be multi-use. A lot of really nice soccer fields. There's going to be, I can't say all of it yet because some of it is still in the planning phase, but all that is going to come together to be one big community style sports complex. We do have a future. We have a site picked out for a future community building, which we'd like to have a community building out there.
Wow.
Now that's going to come as donations and as things happen. So we're looking into a lot. And then another great thing is there's going to be a 10-foot wide paved path all the way around that sports complex. Once again, for people that want to go out and push their babies in strollers, or people in wheelchairs, or whatever else. It's a multi-use path, but they're going to be able to walk on a paved path around that whole big complex that will still meet up with Sister City and then go on into the trails. So that's just huge, and it's an ongoing thing. And
wow.
I really want to thank Charleston Charitable Foundation for that. They have done most of that, and once again, this isn't costing the taxpayers. This has been through donations and grants and stuff that we've been able to get to make this happen. So to see this come along with Lake Charleston, I know there's a lot of people's like, oh, is that going to be a development? What's going on out there?
Yeah.
No, it's going to be a sports complex for the whole community to be able to use. So,
well, sounds like sports complexes are popping up left and right in Coles County.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely talk a lot more in depth with you down the road on that, because obviously there's still a lot of work
there's still a lot of work to be done. But
Very
anybody that drives out there can see all the dirt that's been moved and
Yes.
and everything. There's a lot going on.
Very good. I'm going to kind of lump my next two questions together, Brandon. Obviously, I haven't talked to you during the pandemic. Obviously, we're still in the pandemic, end of 2021 here as we tape here on December 14th. The City of Charleston, how has the community been impacted here in 2021? And what can you speak to the effect of the businesses as well? How are things going?
Well, at first, it obviously caught a lot of us off guard, not knowing how bad it was going to be.
Right.
It definitely impacted a lot of businesses, and our hearts go out to all the businesses that it impacted. The city itself, we started going through with the state and allowing businesses to apply for up to, it was either $20,000 or $25,000 for help for their businesses that suffered. And we had 10, 12, maybe 15 businesses that took advantage of that. That's something that our city planner worked on diligently with the individual business owners that wanted to take that grant on, and that hopefully helped them out some. Some communities chose not to do it. Charleston, we chose to do it to help out our struggling business communities. Something else is that here at City Hall, we never completely closed down. Now, we closed the building down to traffic to be safe, but we took water payments through drive-through.
Right.
The meetings a lot of times were done through maybe Zoom. If someone wanted to talk to me personally or Scott, we still took all of our calls. But we kept the city running. We chose not to send everyone home and work from home. They were still, excuse me, they were still in City Hall to keep the day-to-day operations running. We didn't send everyone home. They had to be in their offices, doors closed. But yeah, we kept the city running by making sure that everyone was still here and able to serve the community just as we would pre-pandemic. It just wasn't so much face-to-face.
Thank you for that insight. It was going to be one of my questions about running a city. How have you guys had to navigate through that? So thank you for that insight. want to ask you, Brandon, on a personal level, you've added something else to your busy life. If you're not only a business owner, you're the mayor of Charleston, but you're also teaching at EIU. Tell us about that venture.
Well, it was kind of a funny story. I teach Anatomy and Physiology 1 for the biology department, and I've always loved anatomy and physiology. It's something I use day to day in my office.
Right.
And so when I got a call from Dr. Gary Bulla, who's the chair, he asked me if I'd be interested in teaching anatomy and physiology, which I applied for many, many years ago, but I didn't have the experience, I was still new. It's just something that I wanted to do when the professor that I had for AMP left. And so he calls me up and he said, hey, would you be interested? And I said, yes, if it can work out with my schedule. Long story short,
right.
He told me, well, the semester starts in 5 days. Are you sure you're able to do this? I said, tell me what the curriculum is. He told me, and I said, oh, yes, I use that stuff every day. I can walk in and do that. And honestly, it has been such a blessing. I didn't realize how much I would enjoy it and how great it is to be out on campus again and working with the students. I found a new passion by doing that. And then when they went ahead and opened it up for taking applications, I went ahead and put my application in and then was hired. And I love every second of it. I really, really do. It doesn't seem like a job to me because it's something that I have a passion for. And I'm teaching a lot of the future students that are going into health. I tell all my classes when I start, hey, there could be someone sitting in this class right now that could be doing open heart surgery on me one day, so make sure you pay attention,
Absolutely.
But it's great. I really love it.
Well, you're giving back to your hometown in another way now.
Yes.
So
and being an EIU alum, it's pretty awesome to be back on campus in that way.
Fantastic. Just got one or two more questions left, Brandon. We appreciate your time again here on City Spotlight. We're taping with Brandon here just before the holidays. This is our last new episode before the year ends. Brandon, what does the new year mean to you?
Well, the new year, as every new year comes, it's looking towards the future and what this new year is going to bring. Obviously, we never know what's going to come, but I can tell you this much from our city staff standpoint and our directors, coming from myself, council, Scott, and then, like I said, all the directors, we're still full steam ahead. There is a lot of projects. There's a lot of interest in Charleston. There's new businesses that have come in and talked to us. I'm not at liberty to say, but we are going to see some new businesses on Lincoln and off Lincoln. But there's still been, we were afraid what it would be like once the pandemic started to slow down a little bit.
Right.
But right now, I'm flooded with meetings of new business ideas or people buying properties and going to put in businesses and stuff. So, I'm looking forward to 2022 and the aspect of seeing these things that we've been working on for a year or a year and a half, and now people are going ahead and just stamping it and saying, okay, we're going to go ahead and start moving on. So it's great to see that because we didn't know how it would be. So I'm really looking forward to the future. I'm looking forward to new businesses. I'm looking forward to see how this new sports complex comes about out there by Sister City Park, and some of the continuing things that we plan on doing at Lake Charleston and then throughout the city itself. So I really think that despite the somber tones of the pandemic, we're still moving along business as usual, and knowing how great our staff is, we're just going to keep on plugging along.
Moving forward, the City of Charleston, and as Brandon, you would say, everything starts with a good idea. So lots of ideas. Hopefully they turn out more things, and we look forward to talking more about that sports complex down the road. So.
Yes.
The Mayor of Charleston, Dr. Brandon Combs. Brandon, we appreciate your time, and we look forward to talking to you in 2022, and Happy New Year.
Right. Happy New Year to you too, and I hope everyone has a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and I, as always, appreciate being on here with you, Ramin, so thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Great to talk to you again. And as we wrap up this episode here on Charleston, let's take a look at some of the upcoming activities going on in Charleston. Thank you for tuning in to City Spotlight. You can check out past episodes, including the one you're watching right now, on YouTube. To check out recent episodes of Central and Southeastern Illinois towns featured on City Spotlight, search on YouTube, City Spotlight, with the show number and the name of the town. Listed on your screen are the last 5 episodes of City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com.